You are tuned into the Dr. Tina Show with Dr. Tina Moore. For more, visit drtina.com. Taylor Mason, welcome to the Dr. Tina Show. Thanks for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So you are my real estate agent and you are responsible for me making my dreams come true. And so I had to have you on the show because I am getting so many messages from people in my community saying, we want to escape the West Coast too. How did you do it? And I think through working with you and the help that you gave me, you made it so easy for me. And so I wanted to have you on so we could just kind of talk shop and give these guys some hope.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I love it. That's really kind of you. Really kind words. You were one of my easiest because you listened.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was my favorite part is you listened. Right. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So how long have you been doing this?
So I've been in residential real estate a little over 8 years. I've lived in Phoenix Valley for like 14, 15 years, but I've been in real estate that long. I specialize specifically in like the Loop 101. So just that major 101 corridor, think Cave Creek, Carefree, Scottsdale, PV, and all residential and mostly actually like people like yourselves. I've somehow found a lot of either they're buying a second place or they're relocating. It's just like organically happened that's who I've attracted.
Yeah, we're just trying to get the hell out of Dodge. I feel like I escaped from behind the wall.
Post
it feels like.
Post-COVID, we had a lot of people that said, hey, I think it's time for us to go somewhere else. I've always said Phoenix, and if I'm saying Phoenix, so your listeners know Phoenix, I'm just talking about the metro, right? So if I'm saying Phoenix, not necessarily Phoenix proper, but Phoenix metro, it's so easy to live here.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, of course, I have a lot of Californians that have said, hey, I've been here my whole life, or I've been here my whole adult life, and I'm ready for something different. It's either too expensive, it's too crowded, it's whatever, not giving me what I want. And they come to Arizona and it's like, oh, this is really nice.
Yeah.
And then they see like intrinsic value in the property and quality of life. It's like, this is kind of nice. And then, the tax save, all the reasons that people come, but it's like, it's very easy. Infrastructure's here. I mean, it's nice.
It is easy. And you reminded me of that when I was just kind of at the tail end of everything and I had done all the moving. And I was so stressed out for a minute. And you were like, it's supposed to be easy here. This is the easy life now, Tina. And I was like, okay, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, moving's never easy, right? So don't get me wrong, but it's supposed to be easy.
Yeah. So let's back up a minute. When you say whatever the corridor you just described. So I have not ventured out very much from where I am in Carefree because I like it here and I kind of hide out here. And I need to hide out for a minute for my nervous system to recalibrate. But I've been to Phoenix a lot. I spent 15 years plotting this move. And I looked all over the Phoenix area. And it wasn't until the year prior to moving here that I found Carefree. And I was like, oh, I had a friend tell me I needed to come to Carefree. I had never seen it. Actually, she told me to go to Cave Creek. And I'd had multiple people tell me I would like Cave Creek. I'd like the community there. It was kind of a freedom-loving community. Mm-hmm. And like all politics aside, I just wanted to be left the F alone. I just wanted to move somewhere where they left me alone and nobody meddling in my anything. And I'm just like a staunch centrist libertarian at my core, right? And I swing both ways when I politically, but I really was looking for a place where like freedom reigned and people were cool and just kind of left you alone. And then I spoke at a conference at Savannah up here in Carefree. And I was like, oh my gosh, this place is magical. And I got connected with you and I'm starting to understand what you mean now. So like we go north of Phoenix and we have Scottsdale and then we go north of North Scottsdale and that's Carefree, Cave Creek, Paradise Valley, and further north would be Sedona, right?
Yeah,
so people know where this is on the map.
Outside of the valley, you'd hit Sedona, and then north of that, it would be Flagstaff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it takes me like 35, 40 minutes to pretty much get anywhere, which I'm okay with because I lived out in the country, and that was kind of the deal out there, and I'm just used to that. So just putting it out there for people to hear. But I found a really great community here, and it's cool, and everybody's cool, and everybody's been really, really nice. And the young people are happy, the older people are happy, and I looking at real estate on the West Coast, I don't feel like it was crazy expensive out here. Like, I don't think it was anything outlandish comparative to what I was already considering.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly used to be known for amazing value. I mean, it was cheap. It was hyper affordable. And then kind of the secret got out. And then, you have enough people moving in and values started climbing. But I think that's something I say we still have a lot of value. And especially if you're coming from a West Coast market or either coast, right? Either coastal market or a major metro center. Prices are very reasonable. The other nice thing that a lot of people forget about Arizona is our tax here is so low, right? Property taxes specifically, and then of course state income tax, and you tack both of those onto already I wouldn't say affordable, but value property. It starts to really move the needle, right? And so if you're already on the fence, I think you organically found Carefree being already at Savannah, right? That's actually where we met.
Oh, that's right. You came.
I met you there. But what's nice is, we have a metro center that has so many people. 6 million people almost. And then, of course, within that, you have all these different cities. Specifically, what we talked about is, Scottsdale is massive. It's so long. And I think that's something that a lot of people, if they haven't been here, that's one of the first questions I'll ask is like, have you been here? Okay, why did you come here? What brought you here? Was it an event at Savannah? Was it for recreation? Were you golfing? Was it for a horse event? Were you visiting family? Like what brought you here? That might tell me where they were. And then within that, it's like, oh, okay, that's the part of Arizona you liked, or that's the part of the Phoenix Valley you liked. We knew for you, this really kind of artistic, almost like bedroom community of Carefree, right? It's kind of like Palm Springs vibe, but more in the desert.
It's like Laguna Beach. It reminded me of Laguna Beach in the desert.
Yeah, and so you organically found it, but that's where I like to find people is like, how do we find what you love, what part of that, and then it's like, okay, how do we find that lifestyle that clicks long term?
Yeah, you were really cognizant of what was jazzing me about it too. Like Ryan was kind of along for the ride. He's like, I'll go wherever. It's fine. I mean, who's going to complain?
Exactly.
He wasn't going to complain with the house I was going to pick out. But you were really cognizant of where I was at, my level of knowledge. I was just straight with you. I was like, I know nothing about what I'm doing. Will you please teach me along the way? Because I didn't want to be completely clueless, but I also wasn't going to try to assume I knew. And like, that's why I hired you, because you're the expert. And you were so generous with your knowledge. I love learning. So you really kind of taught me what I needed to know along the way. And you worked with Ryan really well on like the more guy stuff. You guys were, and Ryan doesn't like give out that card very often where he thinks a guy's cool. Like you kind of got to be like a pretty manly man to, blue collar, that's his world. And so he was like, I really like him. And he knows his stuff. So he was impressed, and that was good. Otherwise I'd have to hear about it. And, we just kind of went around, and I think for the house I bought for me, that happened pretty quickly. That was a funny story. You should share that.
Yeah, it happened incredibly quickly. And I think when I said, you were easy because you just said it. You like to learn. You recognize that I don't know what I'm doing. I hired you to guide me, which is exactly what I like to do, right? So how do we go through the process where I'm not selling anything. I'm here just to inform, educate, and keep you on your path, right? And it makes those decisions very easy. And when I feel like, and I will, I'm the first to, my wife was first to interject my opinion, whether it's asked or not, but specifically on real estate with a client, it's, hey, is this aligning with what you said is important to you? And if it's not, I'm going to call that out. The rest is up for you to decide, but we're going to make that clear. And so the education comes in. We met. We looked at a handful of homes. Of course, we even went on a contract and won. And it was a nightmare. I mean, when you first go through and at surface level, first glance, things felt good. The more time you spend in the home, the more you realize, we got some problems. We have some really deep-seated issues, and coming to Arizona for easy or for mental health was going to be the opposite in that house.
Yeah, they had black mold in the HVAC system. That was not
everywhere.
Yeah, that was not going to happen. I was like, they need to burn this house down. And you were so great, because when I have emphasized the fact that I've been mold sick in the past, and there was no way in hell I was moving into a moldy building. I wasn't even going to consider like renovating or doing remediation of it, like to any extensive degree, because I was moving out of Oregon to get away from the dampness and get away from all that. And in the past, I have to say, I've had a lot of people kind of eye roll, just kind of like, oh, okay, whatever, this crazy lady. And you were so cool. Like you were just like, okay, that's what, that's a ish. That was my deal breaker, right?
Yeah,
like you knew.
and you were clear up. One of the first things you told me up front, this can't exist.
Yeah. I was like, we're going to do extra, inspections. This is and you were so cool about it, which I really like. You did not judge me. You did not even blink. You were just like, okay, so then we need to make this period of time, whatever that period is, like, what is that, discovery? Yeah. You're like, we need to extend this a little bit and blah, blah, blah. You were just super, and that immediately made me trust you, because in the past I've had agents that were like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, the minute someone tells you they've been mold sick and someone says it's not that big of a deal, you're like, you can go F yourself, because you didn't live through what I did. And so anyway, you were really great about that. And then it's funny, every house, because we bought my parents a house, right? And you helped me with that. And like that was a little more challenging, but every house we walked into, I could tell immediately by your vibe if it was a good house or not. You didn't even have to say a word. I just knew. You were like,
yeah, I mean, like I'm free with the opinion, but that's what that's
why we're paying you.
That's my job,
and you know what you're looking for.
And so for me, the dead giveaways, like, before you even get into the home, you start looking outside, you start looking in. They're dead giveaways. Those, like, they're minute, and a lot of people won't even notice it. Buyers, even other agents, you don't necessarily notice these small little details, but it's the as you're getting the key, the leaky water spigot. And we're saying not like it's super leaky, but just is okay. Well, they haven't fixed that. All right, that's something to know. We go in and that has tape on it when that should be fastened. And these small little, which seemingly are inconsequential, you stack them up and it's like, it paints a big picture as to how this home's been maintained, how it's been cared for, and really what does that mean for that future buyer? Like, what are they in store for? And I think that's important to think about. Like, what does your future in this home look like? Because it's like getting married. It's like, okay, the honeymoon's great. We just talked about this earlier. It's like, okay, the honeymoon's great, but if the fundamentals and the foundation and these material items are not there, once the honeymoon's over, we got a problem. Same thing on a house. Like, you move in, great, and it's like, oh yeah, I got this leaking, I got this not working. So I go into the homes, I'm immediately looking for those signs.
Yeah, you had them added up in your head. You already knew who you would call to fix them, and you knew how much it would cost me, and you knew when it would cost me. And so you were just like, here's this problem now. This is probably going to cost about this much. Here's this problem you're going to have to deal with within the next 10 years. This is how much this is going to cost. And you were spot on about all of it. And it was like, oh, okay. So I could go in for what you could see, and your eyes are, your spidey senses or whatever it is you're using were pretty spot on. And I was like, okay, so I know what I'm getting into. And then I'm just like, yeah, whatever, make it happen.
Yeah, kind of, which I love. I love this boldness that it's like, does she fear anything?
No, I just have, I am at the point in my life and the amount of stress that I have endured that I have I don't have 9 lives left anymore. And I needed this to be easy. Yeah. And so for me, it was a matter of like, in my head, if it's something I can afford to fix, yes. You know, and I know that not everyone has that ability, and I'm not saying, I'm throwing money around. It was just one of those things. Like, for me, the point of making money is literally just to be more comfortable. And I mean, I'm not very money driven. I've had many business coaches say, like, you're really not money driven. I'm not looking for fame or fortune. I just want to be comfortable, and I just want stress to go away. So for me, if it wasn't anything that was too stressful, or some, like, mold in the HVAC system, I cannot fix, but a new roof I can, and it's going to be extra because there's solar panels, right? And like that kind of thing, I can manage, I can budget in my head, and it, so for me, it was not a matter of like, I don't like to get upset over small things. Right. I got enough shit to worry about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. No,
that's why you thought it was easy, but for me, I'm like, just make it happen. I'm a quick decision maker too, though.
decisiveness is really nice. I think you responded well to the education, right? I try you overload information only so then it's there. I always say it's not my money, it's not my house, so it's your call. But here's the deal, right? Here are the facts. Not my money, not my house. You make the call, and I think if you have that, it gets easier. You certainly are very clear on what's important to you, what is not important, and so when you have that information, your decisions were quick, and you trusted your decision making very easily, which was nice. Yeah, we worked well together.
Yeah.
I think that was it. I mean, we worked well together, right?
I sent you over to my house. I sent you over to my house. Like the first decision I needed was to know where the morning sun was, because that's why I was moving here. And so you went out there at like 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
You drove out there.
How else are you going to know?
To take a little video to show me where the sun was coming up. And I was like, okay, we're good. And after that, I was like, oh, he's my, like, we're besties now. So
Yeah, we did good. No, we did awesome.
because that's what was important to me. I was moving here for sunlight. I was moving here to heal. I was moving here. I also have never bought a house. Okay, this I think is important. We should have started with this. I was a first-time home buyer. I'd never bought a house. I instinctually knew I was not supposed to stay in Oregon. And so I never bought a house in Portland. I never wanted to put roots down there. I just somehow kept getting sucked in and sucked in and sucked in. And, I was about to move to Arizona 15 years ago, and there was issues with like custody with my daughter because she was young. And then I was about to move to Arizona, and then my mentor got sick and gave me his practice and said, you have to take this over. And which was a gift and a huge burden. Straight up. And on it went. And then it was my parents were getting elderly, and then it was COVID, and I met Ryan, and I kind of, ended up living out in the country with him, which was a cool experience, but like also not where I wanted. Right. I had envisioned.
Not forever.
Yeah. And so I am quite literally, I wake up every single morning. I am in the house that I have dreamed of my whole life.
That's amazing. I just got goosebumps. That's amazing.
And I waited my whole life to buy it. Like I'm literally, I didn't have a starter house. I mean, maybe I should have for the purposes of investing, but I didn't. And I am just like, I am living literally my dream. I wake up every morning. I go outside to the pool. I swim in the pool and drink coffee and hang out in the sun with my dogs. I usually take a dip at like midday in the sun. Mm-hmm. I watch the sunset. Like I'm living my dream. I have Sonoran cactuses everywhere in my view. There's hawks and
deer. You had that buck that was through your yard. So,
oh my God, I had a spider last night on the bathroom wall that was yeah, it was huge. It was the size of my palm. And I was like, oh my God. But then I like researched it, and I found out it was a really cool kind of spider. It's a huntsman spider.
Oh, yeah. They're freaky, but they're really good. Yeah. I mean, they are freaky.
Yeah.
But they're, yeah. Get rid of all the bad stuff.
So many critters. So I get to go on walks, and I see more critters here than I do in Oregon. Anyway, I'm living my dream, and you really helped make it simple for me, and you went well above and beyond. So I want to talk about that because, not only do you know your shit, which made things so much simpler, like you knew all the paperwork back and forth, you knew the laws back and forth, you know your job really, really well. And I cannot say that about everyone that I've talked to in real estate. And then secondarily, you were really patient with me, and you were highly supportive to the point of like, you kept an eye on our house after we bought it, and we hadn't been able to move in yet for a few months, and you made sure it was okay. Like you went well above and beyond. And I'm so grateful for that because it turned my stress level down about 1 million. Yeah. And I think the reason I wanted to bring you on the show is because I want other people to know that there is an out. Like if they're really stuck where they're living and they're really unhappy, a lot of people in my audience are my age. Their kids are kind of flying the coop. Mm-hmm. And they're just at that point where they can make that decision. Like, should I stay or should I go? And for the ones who really feel like they need to go, just knowing that if you work with somebody who knows what they're doing and knows their job really well, it really was quite easy. And you had all the people that I need, like you're connected with everyone to make it easier.
That's the key, right? Is you have to, I mean, the first step is just making the decision. I want to do this. Okay, perfect. Then it's aligning yourself with the right team, right? And then you hope which is how we got connected, right? And then once you have a few of the right team members, then you're not in it on your own, and you just start tackling like one at a time, right? And if you look at the entire process from the beginning, it just feels daunting. and especially if you've been somewhere for a long, like the longer you've been somewhere,
Yeah.
haven't moved, the more moving feels like, oh God, like
It feels like
hell no, I don't want to do
It feels
this,
like
right?
1,000 million pounds.
And it is,
Of
and it
weight
is,
and
and so what you
stress.
have to do is you have to have other people help carry it. You have to also allow them to carry it. I think that's something important, and that I think part of why I said it was easy, you said it was easy, is you said, I never bought a house.
Yeah.
Tell me what I need to know. You weren't, there was humility in that there, and it allowed me to get straight to, hey, this is what, I'm not going to assume anything. We're going to explain the entire process. And then beyond that, especially for, like I said, a lot of my clients have just become those either inbound from relocating, or it's a second home. Well, what does that mean? They're not here. Like, it's so challenging not being there. You feel out of control.
Yeah.
And if you can just lean on that person to, hey, I got this. And if I don't have it, I got a guy. I'm always saying, I got a guy.
You always
right?
got a guy.
you need to get a car worked on. I got a guy. You need fire. I got a guy. Right. And that starts to make all of those small things manageable, which then the big becomes less stressful. It's still going to be stressful. Moving is still hell, but it's manageable.
Yeah, it was really manageable.
And without just being like, just completely destroying the brain cells.
And we got to give a shout out to Noah Conver for being my mortgage guy who referred me to you. And he was adamant that I work with you. I was like, well, I might have someone that my friend suggested. And he was like, no, you're going to want to call Taylor.
100%. So yeah, so Noah Kovner and I, we've worked together for years. I met Noah. We just spoke about this the other day. I met him. It was my first open house I had ever held in real estate.
Oh.
So I had been licensed for like a month, sitting in open house. I don't know what I'm doing with a colleague at the time. I was like, oh, I'll do it with you that day. And Noah comes strolling in. It's a Sunday, whatever it was, and just introduce himself. And then we live kind of in the same neighborhood. Anyway, fast forward, we've done a lot of deals together. Because of that, we just have like a common language, which allows like him as my lender partner to be, it just speeds things up. It also makes sure, because we have that common language, our clients receive even better service.
Totally. That was
right?
amazing, because you guys, like, not to interrupt you, but that was it. You guys were talking about stuff about, like, not behind my back, but you guys were organizing and orchestrating on my behalf. And so then when I would ask you a question, you'd already talked to him.
Right. And vice versa.
And vice versa. So I didn't have to call. I didn't have to call two different people and then try to make the story make sense, because I didn't know what the heck was going on. And I didn't understand all the lingo. And you guys were both super nice and super patient with me. I'm smart. I'm a smart cookie.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, just teach me what I need to know. And then what I don't need to know, I'm not going to worry about. I'm going to assume you guys got it. And you guys were both, that was huge, to not have to sit there. And I've had other, I worked with your lovely friend to buy this building space, and he was lovely, but it was a different kind of experience. And it wasn't the same kind of, I had to do much more of my own legwork that case. And so it was really cool to work with you and watch how you guys flowed. It was like top tier.
And that's just years and countless transactions, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't the first one that way, but it's like over the years, and we just developed that common language. And it was nice that it's received that well, right? You could feel
that was awesome.
All of that being, like you said, orchestrated. I remember it clear as day. He calls me up and says, hey, because before he made the introduction, he calls me up and says, hey, what's your days look like the next couple of days? Because he knew you were in town. And, I said, yeah, I got time. I'm carefree. I got time. That's near where that's my neck of the woods. It's near me.
Hood.
Let's do it. Yeah. And, sure enough, I met you, I think, that later that afternoon.
Yeah,
right?
you were there. You were there like that.
Yeah, well.
So yeah, just to emphasize the importance of working with someone who has a good network, that matters a lot, because you're really well connected, and the people that you work with, I can tell, don't want to screw up. Like, I know when you refer me to someone that they're going to do a good job by me, and they're not going to swindle me, because you're probably referring a lot of business to them. And so anyway, it's just been top tier.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't have asked for a better experience. And it wasn't contingent on the fact that I bought an expensive house or a less expensive house. Like that, I could tell that's
that's it.
it's just how you do things. Oh. And people could, you could give lessons on this.
I don't know about that.
I'm like, make a real estate class, sell it online.
But, I think I pride myself on that level, like concierge, and seeing them throughout, not just the entire transaction, but it's like the whole life cycle of home ownership, right? And I think, you had originally said, what was it kind of made you a little bit different? And I think it's because I saw you whenever we were buying it, and it was buy anything is, okay, but what happens the day they call me, we need to sell, right? And I'm making sure what I'm buying with them is something we can sell down the road.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah. So you're kind of future casting.
Knowing that whole home ownership life cycle, that also comes into talking about those repairs that they're going to be, in store for, the maintenance, the depreciation, the things that, we have, these coming up.
So what do you think are some of the high points of moving to this northern Phoenix area? What are the benefits for me as a buyer?
Yeah, I think, the one, like we've talked about, ease, I think that quality of life is there. As a whole, I think we're friendly here. Yeah, I think we're friendly. I think there is a good balance to the demographics. There is a good balance to I think politically, actually, it's nice that there is that balance. Arizona is so purple, but I think because of that, you have a good mix.
I like it.
I think a good mix is healthy.
That's how Portland used to be. Portland was really purple and it was great.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good balance. I think we have beautiful landscape. Obviously it's way different than the Northwest, but it is beautiful in its own right. Access to nature is critical. I think being able to get outside. Right now in the heat of summer, getting outside is harder. Right?
I like it.
But you just wake up earlier, right? Yeah. You wake up early, you get in more water, and you learn, you find shade, which is funny, right? And now you learn to find shade. People from Arizona because they'll be like, standing on queue somewhere and they find like the one flagpole and it's like everyone's standing this like 4 inches of shade all the way down. But I think for me, I like the North Valley. It's a little bit cooler. You have specific to North, so Carefree has at Cave Creek and then specifically North Scottsdale as well. There's so much natural space that's maintained. Mm-hmm. And so as you're driving, you might not even realize like, there's homes all over, but you don't see them because they're just peppered throughout the landscape. That helps it stay cooler, which is nice. There's more airflow because of that. The storms come through better. And I'm partial because that's where this area I've lived, but those are a few of the highlights. And then of course the financial tax end. No way around it. Especially you talked about people reaching into, let's say, children are empty nesting, and they might be at a point in their life where they're starting to think maybe not about retirement, but potentially they might be living less off of the money they're making and more off of, let's say, portfolio or retirement money. And the last thing you want to do is be giving such a heavy amount of that to tax, right? When you didn't even earn it in that, like you're not earning it now.
Right.
So why am I taxed on it now?
Yeah.
And that's what I've had, I think, a lot coming that way.
There's some crazy taxes happening on the West Coast too. And, income tax just came into Washington, mm-hmm. Millionaires taxes. California's trying to pass some crazy 5% millionaires tax. It's just, people are fed up with it. This isn't politics. This is just, people are tired of getting hosed when management is not great. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. West Coast management is not being so great. And so I have worked for bad managers and I'm tired of writing checks to bad management. Yeah. And I just kind of blew a fuse and decided I had to go. And I needed to go somewhere where people didn't meddle so much in my business and I was more free to think the way I wanted to think or be the way I wanted to be. And that matters a lot. And you don't know it until you get out of it. Like the first few months, my best friend Mia moved to Texas from California during COVID. And she said, you're going to go through a period where you realize what you were living in and how it felt. And you don't know it because you're in it. But when you get there, you're going to have a little bit of a culture shock. And I did. The first few months, I was like, it wasn't just because I was in a new place. I moved a lot as a kid. I don't know if you knew that about me.
Yeah, no, I remember you telling me you moved a ton.
A ton. So I'm used to moving. Like moving is not the problem. Being in a new place and acclimating is not the problem for me. It was literally like, I felt like I could breathe. I felt like I did after I got out of a really terrible divorce.
Well, that's what it sounded like you were describing, right?
It was like getting out of a narcissistic, abusive relationship. And I felt like, when you go to the dentist and they put those big, heavy, weighted vests on you, it felt like someone took that off of me and I didn't even know I had it on. And I was like, and then I did the math with ChatGPT and I asked it to analyze my tax return for the past few years. Probably gave it too much information. But I was like, hey, look at this and then tell me based on Oregon versus Arizona, what the difference will be in 10 years. $1 million.
Oh, I'm sure.
If I handle it properly. It wasn't just straight up, but like overall, it's going to be $1 million difference. And that matters when you're looking at retirement. Like that matters. I'm thinking about retirement.
Period.
Yeah, like that's huge. And so the difference just annually is so tremendous in what I'm not going to have to pay out in taxes. And that matters to me because I'm trying to figure out how to take care of my family. Like more than anything, I'm worried about taking care of my family. And so that might be somebody's salary or that might be a financial gift I give to a family member to help them out. Like these are things I consider. And so anyway, I had to get out of there. But moving here has been just, it's like every month I feel like a layer of stress come off of me, even though so much shit has happened. Like every time you call me, there's like
just added more stress. It's amazing you say that because it's like, wait, we've done this, we've done that, we've done this. And it's like, this is less stress.
It's a lot.
Like I said, have you no fear? But it's amazing.
I don't know if I have no fear. I just, it's just when you live through enough, you aren't afraid of,
maybe
when you have enough experiences, you're like, oh, this is not,
I can handle this.
It's just familiarity with like diverse circumstances. Anyway, so back at the ranch, speaking of, you have a history. This is something else that has really impressed me that I don't feel like you talk about enough. And I'm seeing it a little bit on your Instagram. You have this horse history.
Yeah.
And then I've noticed, I didn't know this until I moved here, but like Cave Creek is like horse land.
Cave Creek, Carefree, Scottsdale.
So let's talk about this because I didn't even know any of these houses existed. There's like houses where you have this beautiful home and then there's like a beautiful stable and then there's horse land.
Yeah. It's amazing we didn't talk. Well, I think we talked about it a little bit because of course you were living on a farm, right? Different kind of farm, right? So I moved to Arizona to work with Arabian horses.
Yeah.
That's what brought me here. So 14 years ago, dropped everything to do that. Best decision I made. Was incredibly difficult, but best decision I made. But in doing that, when we raised animals and then eventually I led me to real estate. But in doing that, I've run horse farms, hyper familiar with them. But a lot of people who even lived here their whole life don't realize how many horses there are. Scottsdale used to be, so if you drive down Scottsdale, if anyone listening has visited Scottsdale and you see like Gainey Ranch, right? This massive area. The Gaineys owned a huge horse ranch. That was their horse ranch. That's why it's called Gainey Ranch.
Oh.
The Gainey family had this huge horse ranch. Same with the McCormick's, right? Lady McCormick had this huge horse farm. That became McCormick Ranch. So anytime you're seeing like that ranch, it probably was an actual ranch at a point. They still exist. And people say, well, isn't it too hot? And it's like, it obviously depends on the breed. But, animals are more adept or they're more adept to live in the desert.
They handle it.
They know
crazy.
And especially if they're from here or have lived here, just like you have probably already seen. I tell everyone, you live here through the seasons, you acclimate, and your body changes.
Yeah.
You'll go to somewhere else and it's 60 and you're like, I need my full down parka. And you just adjust. But Arizona we're still kind of the Wild West. I mean, that's changing a little bit, but like I think for certain people who want to come here, it's like, you still want like country, cowboy, like rugged and like that kind of Wild West feel. It's not hard to find.
It's
Cave
here.
Creek is is that. Still is
Yeah,
that.
it's crazy. Ryan and I were driving down Cave Creek when our first trip here.
Yeah.
Freaking guy crosses the street on a horse.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan didn't see it. Almost not like didn't almost hit him, but like we were shocked, and we weren't far from the horse. And I was like, "What just happened? There are people just walking across the street on horses."
Yeah. Well, even I
to
mean,
the bar. And tying the horse up in front of the
Cave
bar.
Creek is a little bit different that way, but even like Scottsdale, there's still bridle paths. Even in the heart of town,
Oh,
cactus
really?
and shade, there's still bridle paths. If you pay really close, and there are people, again, you just have to know what you're looking for. But even like in the heart of town, if you're driving and pay attention, some of the city parks actually have equestrian facilities.
Yeah.
So they'll have like an actual riding arena. So yeah, I thought we would have talked about horses more, or at least horse properties. They're fascinating. They're really dynamic. I mean, they're just. I think a background of that is probably what led me to think I need to know everything I can about the property I'm selling or buying. Because like on a horse property, if you don't, you really can end up up shit creek, right? And buying something you don't realize, oh, this is what this, this is what this comes with. This is what I'm in store for. Anyway.
So people can buy houses here that are gorgeous with adjacent horse facilities.
Equally nice.
And just have horses outside in their backyard when they wake up and have coffee.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way we're zoned, I mean, what's nice is this doesn't require acres and acres and acres. I mean, if you're in county zoning, it's 1 acre, right? And so it's a manageable, like a hobby farm, right? Manageable. You have 1 or 2 horses. They're right out there.
I was following some real estate agents in this area, and I saw a few, and I was like, you can have horses? Like, why didn't I think of this? I want horses. And then I saw on your Instagram, like recently, some property that's just fantastic. So people can have horses and live in a luxurious home and be right in town.
Well, I keep saying it's easy. That's kind of the nice thing is you can have that and be 10 minutes to a great restaurant.
Yeah.
Or I'm only 30 minutes from the airport. Because oftentimes, like, if you want that type of, we have a great balance of that rural and urban. And like we talked about at the beginning, it's so big that, if you want just that full urban feel, okay, you got it. But if you want a little bit of that rural feel, you're not giving up everything else for that. You still are able to go to the school, kids can go to the school they want to go to. If you're, a spouse is commuting to an office, you're not giving up everything for that lifestyle. I think also you resonated with it well because that comes with this like innate, I'd say kind of laid back lifestyle or laid back kind
just
of
freedom. It just feels like freedom.
That's what you said, freedom. And it's, yeah, freedom.
I was on a quest. I was like, I don't care how I get there, but I'm going to get myself into a free state where I get to decide my fate.
Was there anything that you were surprised by when you got here, or
No.
that you expected it to be and it wasn't? Because that's always,
No
question.
No, I haven't. Every morning I wake up wondering if I'm going to feel depressed or lonely or sad, or did I make a bad decision? Or initially I felt some fear because I financially got in deep with, some houses and a building, and like I did it. I just did it. But I did that is because I wanted to firmly plant myself here.
That's right.
So there was no way I could leave.
That's right.
Because I always get sucked back into Oregon. I always get pulled back, and I was like, I'm not going back there. So every single day I just wake up and thank God. Literally, I look outside, I can see mountains and saguaro cactuses, and I am like, thank God. I like have so much gratitude that God put me in this place and gave me the ability to have what I have. And I came out of bankruptcy. I don't know if you know that. Like I came out of single mom bankruptcy, built my own practice, built this small empire. I built this with no funding, no help, I had a couple teammates here and there over the years, but like this is all self-made. So for me to have what I have now was like such a gift that God led me here and put all the right people. I really believe that like, if you stay on the path that God put you on, he will put the right helpers in place, good, honest people who are not there to swindle you. That was something else I really appreciated about you is your percentage that you were going to get. You were willing to negotiate with whatever we needed to do to close the deal. And I never felt like at any point with the two houses, even that you were trying to get me to close on something just so it could go away and be done and you could get your percentage and be out. Like you talked me out of houses.
Yep.
You talked me out of more expensive houses where you would have gotten a much better cut.
Yeah.
You told me that houses were not worth the value that they had placed on them. You were like, this is not worth this. This is not, even in this climate and this economy, like this is not worth this. Like you flat out walked me out of places and just said, nope.
That's an interesting thing. I say no a lot, right? And when my wife and I have looked at homes or when we've purchased, like you have to go through a lot of no's to get to a yes. But that's something that, COVID, I won't even say COVID, the real estate boom that occurred from 2021, 22 really shine. And then the now 3 to 4 years of for our market has been fairly, not flat, but it's just been a gentle, still going uphill. But it really shined the light on when people don't buy the right thing, they find out really the hard way. And especially establishing value is something that, when we had those, artificially deflated interest rates. That's what they were, right? It was artificially deflated interest rates because the Fed funds were so low. It artificially inflated housing. Now, of course, everyone thought, okay, now it'll all come down, but we've now stabilized and we've been stabilized for so many years that, oh no, this is the cost. But because of that artificially low, people they cared about what it cost them monthly, but they didn't care about what the house was worth.
Yeah.
And you saw a lot of, no way around it, mistakes made. Agents didn't say no enough.
Yes.
Because everyone said, I got to get a house. I have to get a house. And it was frenzy. I
tried to buy during that. I came down here several times and tried to buy.
It was frenzy.
And then walked away from different opportunities because I was like, no, this isn't right. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
And stressful.
Yeah.
Really stressful.
And it was, I think the question I asked then was when you had to ask, okay, you might be able to make the deal, but is it the right deal or is it the right house? And it's like, just because you're buying, is that really the right thing? And now we're seeing, some of those that were bought, even in 21, that they should still have seen good appreciation since then. But they drastically overpaid then. They bought something that had, serious flaws or serious things that negated its intrinsic value. And now it's like they're paying the price. And I hate to see that.
Yeah, they're stuck.
And it's not the future trip, but it's like you have to think about that, right? Yeah, they are stuck.
Yeah.
Or they have to take a loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything I've done, everything I purchased in the last year has appreciated.
Yeah.
Significantly. Like I'm sitting good.
Yes.
God kept putting really expensive, really great opportunities in front of me, and I just kept saying yes.
Yeah. Well, but we said no. We said no.
You
plenty,
did,
right?
We did. You flat out. We would walk into a place, and you're like, "Yeah, no, this does not hold the value that they are trying to charge for it. This is not it."
Well, and I think some of that a term that, of course, you went from being a first-time buyer to a now seasoned pro, but there was still a term we talked about was functional obsolescence.
Yeah.
And that was a term that you said, what is that? And it's a term that I think about a lot, and we use it a lot, but functional obsolescence is exactly that. It's, does the home's function make it obsolete? Meaning not the condition, but something about its layout, its design, or the way it works deteriorates its value. Right. And so the best way to illustrate it is think, there were eras of times where homes were built with totally inadequate bathrooms to bedrooms, or those bathrooms were completely on the other side of the home, making, those bedrooms really hard to use as bedrooms. Well, that deteriorates the value regardless of the condition it's in. Or think you'll see this in Carefree because it's kind of a quirkier town, right? But you'll see these monster homes, right? 5,000 square foot custom home with 2 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, that's good for the person that built it, but it probably isn't going to get its value on the backside. And so looking at everything from that, like a student of the product. And I think for you, you were really good at that, of becoming a student of the product of real estate. I like to study, but it's like, what are you buying?
Right.
Right.
And can you resell it?
Yeah.
I've learned that through business, that you have to look at the out as soon as you're excited about the in.
Yeah,
The minute you get excited about like the venture or the partnership or whatever it's going to be, I learned the hard way that you have to absolutely write out and sign what the out's going to be. And you have to look at it seriously and burst your own bubble, because otherwise you
get caught up in the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It just goes back to like the dating thing or the honeymoon phase. And it's like, well, it's all exciting and good until it's not.
Reality.
And that's okay, right? Reality is, but what does that look like? I have a very close client who became really like a family friend and a mentor, and he's very successful in construction. But the one thing he taught me, he's taught me many things, but the one thing he taught me was, if I look at a deal, someone brings a deal to me, I don't look at upside. There's always upside. There should be upside. What's the downside? That's my number one thing. What's the downside? And if I can live with the downside or handle the downside and the upside's there, great. But that's
what you did, actually.
He taught me that, though. He taught me that.
I get all excited, and you're like, well, hate to burst your bubble, but here's what you're looking at. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but
and you fought for me. You went to bat for me. You fought for me, which was amazing.
Yeah, well,
which I think you kind of like. Yeah, you like the.
Yeah.
You like the part like where there's a little tension,
Well, it's not about tension, but it's, maybe a little bit.
Well, I mean that in a good way. Tension's, not necessarily negative. There's just that little bit of like, well, you were in reality. And so when buyers, here I'm the buyer and then the seller's saying this, and you're like, well, that's not reality. So here's the reality of the situation. And you were good at helping negotiate that.
We're in kind of a fun time right now, I think, where we're seeing a lot more of that. And great agents are really seeing a lot more of it, because the market right now is fairly balanced, right? Buyer seller, it specific to our area, is fairly balanced, and it can change week to week or month to month, but it's pretty balanced. Slightly buyer's market right now, but just so slightly. But in that, it really requires that meeting of the minds, right? The give and take of a negotiation, because both sides have something to gain and lose, and there isn't this there's an overextending bias to either side, which is really where you have to get creative, work with the other side. What are we giving up? What are they taking? What can we give up that makes sense? I love to find the things that we can give up that are non-monetary, right? Time. You were great with that, right? We're able to give up, hey, we can make decisions quick.
Yeah.
Right. Which can be a gain without giving up monetary. I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that's being made right now. And I would tell anyone, if they're in a similar market right now, the biggest mistake a buyer or seller can make is overconfidence into their position in the market. Right. If they think, oh, it's a buyer's market, we can just lowball and we can give them, they'll take whatever they have to. And it's like, well, that's not necessarily the case. And you probably could have gotten the deal you wanted, but you went in with this overly, it's an ego thing, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of mucked up a deal because of that.
Right.
And we're seeing on both sides, because it's pretty balanced, but that overconfidence just is the number one mistake.
Have you ever heard of the Colby score?
No.
KOLBE.
No.
It's not like a personality test. It's like a business. I've learned about it in business, but it ranks you, and there's no weaknesses and strengths. It's just how you are. So there's no like, oh, if you score low here, it's not necessarily bad. It's just how you are. And one of the features is quick start, which is you quickly make decisions, and you I'm very high on quick start.
Yeah.
So I very quickly make decisions, and I absolutely know the consequences of my actions, and I will stand. It's fine. Like, whatever. If it all goes belly up, I'm aware of that. Yes, I am fully aware. People are like, do you know what you're doing? And I'm like, I'm fully aware of what I'm doing. And I know I can get myself out of this if there's a problem. So I don't get into things I can't get myself, so I'm quick to make decisions. There's other parts of this where people will be the opposite and they need a ton of research and a ton of time to make a decision.
Yep.
And so Ryan's like that.
Oh,
So Ryan and
is
I
he?
are opposites.
Okay.
Yes. So he, I think, probably just hangs out with me and rides along. And I think he's learned to trust me in my decision making, but also I think it's probably caused him some anxiety, I would guess.
For sure.
Because he is more methodical about things. He needs to think through things. He needs to, when I was younger, I think my quick start was probably more emotionally based. And when I have gotten older, now I'm logical. I work out and I go to sleep. I have to work out and sleep on a decision. That's it. Like I have to work and pray. So I work out, sleep, and pray on it, and then I'll tell you in the morning. Right. And I usually, I would say 99% of the time actually agree with my original decision. It's pretty rare that I turn around and go, I don't think that was a good idea. So usually my initial reaction is correct. But anyway, there's different various traits within there. I can't remember them all. But that's something that I think is so, if you could just run a Colby on every client, you would know exactly what you were getting into.
That's a really good idea.
I don't know if you can.
Could to a degree.
You would know exactly what you were dealing with. You would know if you needed somebody who needed a lot of hand-holding and time. I think in these markets, you don't always have time, though. Sometimes you...
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
No. Unfortunately, and it depends on what they're looking at. That certain things you have plenty of time, and other things you don't. One thing I do like to do, but I'm gonna maybe employ that because I really like that. The one thing I do like to do is really figure out, and I like to just get straight to the point, right? But it's like dig in. Okay, why are they buying this? What do they use their home for? What kind of lifestyle do they lead? Why are they looking for this? Because then we can get to a really clear point of, okay, what is the purpose of it, right? What utility does this home deliver and provide? And if I know that, then that's kind of like the North Star, where as we're going in the emotion of you walk in, it's like, oh, this is so beautiful. And it's like, no. Remember, we said, this is what's important.
Right? Target.
You said living close to work is important. This is not close to work, but this is, for example, right?
Like what's important to them? What are their priorities?
And then it's finding that. So the Colby score actually is...
You should look into it. Run it on yourself first. It'll be very telling.
Yeah.
And then just know there's no bad. There's just like I had
it's just
it's just like what your strengths are and what your not so strengths are.
Right.
I had an employee that I really kept leaning on, hoping she would come up with some entrepreneurial ideas, and ran a Colby on her. And she doesn't have an entrepreneurial bone in her body, but she's great at double checking and detail orientation. So she was able to do all my back end really well and make sure everything was handled and organized and every T was crossed and I was dotted. But she wasn't an entrepreneurial, I'm an idea generator. So I'm a quick start, and I am the quintessential Colby score for an entrepreneur.
Yeah, you're a businesswoman. That's it.
I make decisions quick and I come up with ideas fast, and I'm totally okay if I fall flat on my face. I don't care. I just look at it as like another opportunity to start, it's another attempt. It's like, it's not a failure. It's just a fall forward kind of thing.
But with forward, I like that.
But with houses, you're kind of stuck with it. So
a little bit. I mean, there's always ways out, but I mean, it's not quick.
Yeah.
Right. It's not quick.
Something that I think, I'm just going to share this with you because I thought of it, is I had no idea what my utilities were going to look like.
Right.
Because I was basing them off of Oregon, and they're not the same. And I had no idea what pool and landscaping and all of that. So that might be something that you share with them too, as they're getting into something, is you're looking at roughly, it wasn't that it was anything out of control. I just literally had no idea. And it was very different than what I was used to.
It's very different, right? I mean, obviously electric is going to be way more than what people expect or what they're used to. It just
I didn't even think about it.
And it's basically because of cooling, air conditioning, it runs a lot of electricity. That's converse though with our gas, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
cheap.
the gas bill is cheap because even if you have, gas range, gas fireplace, gas, all gas appliances, it's very cheap. And of course, even, people say, do you even have to heat your home? Yeah. My heat goes on in October. I am very, Well, I'm not tough when it comes to
You like
being.
to be comfortable.
I don't like to be cold.
I don't like to be cold
and
either.
so like our home doesn't dip below, like 75 in the winter.
Yeah.
I want to be shorts and t-shirt inside. And even then, gas is not high. And the other nice thing though, is pools. So pools, is something, if you have a pool, even in another market, we use our pools completely different. One, we don't have pool covers.
No.
No one covers their pool.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe a few. But really, no one covers their pool. And we don't have the winterized pools, which also means, though, we maintain the pool all year.
Yep.
It's year round. It's every single week that pool guy's here. The nice thing with that, though, is there's a million pool guys.
Yeah.
Right? So you got to find the good ones, right? We got a good one.
We got a good one.
I only share the guys that I use.
Yeah.
I don't give a recommendation that I don't personally use. Where it's like, oh, well, I trust them. And I don't trust them I trust them that they're going to be fair and they're going to be honest. I'm not going to promise cheapest or anything like that, but they're going to be fair and honest. But pool maintenance, is actually a lot lower than other places.
Especially, once it's being maintained weekly too. I think the upside there is preventative medicine, right? Like your pool is being
100%.
visualized every week by a professional. So the chances of something going really bad are less because someone's got eyes on it.
As long as it's good eyes, for
Yeah.
sure, right? Because you're seeing it every single week.
And then there were several months where we didn't have any heat or air on.
Yeah.
Like we had a couple, I'm
The
sure.
shoulder seasons.
Yeah. So I think all in all, after about a year, I'll see how it balances. I'm close to
It'll
a year.
be interesting to see how it compares to the home in Oregon, the range.
Yeah.
Right.
I had no clue though what I was getting into on that. I was like, there's so many little things here that I hadn't even thought about.
And we can find that from, we do our best to get it from the current owners, right? But that's obviously historical is just historical. It's not how are you going to live in the home. But we do try to paint a picture of what they can expect. As far as maintenance and stuff like that on our homes, the nice thing is, we don't have inclement weather. We don't have natural disasters. We don't have those things that come with major preventative maintenance or dealing with the aftermath. We get the monsoons, but the monsoons, like we talked about, monsoons you look forward to them. They come in hot and heavy, but they don't do much damage.
You come up to my house during the very, I think, second time I slept there was in September, and we had the monsoons, and it was
a lightning show, I'm sure.
I thought the house was cracking open. Yeah, it was serious. And my best friend was there from Texas, and she's like, "Oh, this is nothing."
Yeah, they're violent.
It was violent. It was crazy. It was crazy.
It's
but
violent.
It was super fun.
And then
I
it
look
rains.
forward to it again.
And then it goes away.
Yeah.
That's probably the bigger thing that you don't think about because, okay, in Arizona, right, it's so dry and we have so many days of sunshine. You don't think about water. That's the number one thing. And we know from the mold house, we'll just call it the mold house. That's what it was. And we know even from other homes we looked at, water is the single biggest cause of damage in Arizona. And it's probably the single biggest thing that keeps real estate transactions from going. And it's because we don't think about it. So these other climates, these other states, you're mindful of it and you're being preventative and you're doing more maintenance and just taking precautions. But because, it doesn't rain that often. I mean, 7 inches a year, right? It's not much.
But it all comes at once.
Exactly. So any of our roofers will say it's like, well, is the roof leaking? Well, no, but it's not raining.
Right. We don't know.
And so that's probably the number one. Anyone coming here, you look out for, is the home going to be watertight? Look for signs of water damage, specific because that means mold. And of course, people say, mold can't grow in there. No, it can.
We found black mold. We got it in the house I bought too, but it was manageable.
It was manageable, right?
Yeah.
And that was your decision. We found, and that told me though, in that home, it probably exists in every single home. Not probably. It does exist in every single home.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of pinpointing it and then figuring out, okay, well, how do we deal with it? And does that align with, hey, if you have, like you had a history of mold sickness or mold illness, that obviously has the greater sensitivity to it.
Yeah.
And I guess it depends also where it is. Where it is in the home, but yeah, every home has it. So it's like this real estate will say that's the like four letter word we don't say, but it's like, yeah, but it's everywhere. It's okay.
Well, it's the bad mold. There's just a little quick mold lesson for people. I saw a documentary when I was in my early 20s, and it was about Arizona, and it was about a housing development that was like, a development company had built a bunch of houses, and they had to burn the whole development down because the whole development ended up with black mold because water got in.
This was in Arizona?
Yeah, water got in. This was, gosh, my daughter hadn't even been born yet when I saw this. Water had gotten in while they were building it. And it got closed
Trapped in the cavity.
And because they must have built it was wood houses that the monsoons must have hit, and then they closed up the houses, and all of them, they had to literally burn the whole
That's crazy.
housing development down because it was just unsellable because everything was covered in black mold. And so I knew that black mold was a thing here, and I cannot tell you the amount of people I've educated about that because it's Stachybotrys is black mold is supposed to stay local to where it's growing, and it grows with water leaks. And it is not supposed to aerosolize because it's sticky. That's why that first house was such a problem. It was in the HVAC system. It had aerosolized,
right?
Which meant it was a way bigger problem than
everywhere.
Just finding it under the sink.
Yeah,
And so it's a thing. And I think that just for me, it's just a matter of staying resilient. Obviously, I don't want to live in a black mold house, but you're going to find mold anywhere you live and in any climate. Here, we just grow two really and aspergillus is another one. We grow two really nasty molds for people's bodies because they secrete mycotoxins, so my friends who are wanting to move here, I just tell them just be prepared to remediate. Put some money aside and know that you're probably going to have to do a little something.
Yeah. And don't let it overwhelmingly make you fearful.
Yeah.
Right? I can't believe how much I learned about you were like mold 101 for me, right? I was like, oh my God, I had no idea all of this. And then you get in, it's like, okay, but the more you know, the better you can advise. And it also realize, going back to water and roofs and that, like the one, it was all, we found the mold at the very bottom of the floor, and it had come all the way from a vent in the roof.
That was cracked.
And it was just this tiny little, this spot. And that's where it was shocking because it was in a bathroom. You figure, okay, a sink, a drain, a toilet, or something like that. And of course, that's what we expected. Fortunately, it was still very manageable. Great team came in.
Yeah.
They got it all done. But it was amazing. And seeing that wall opened up and seeing, the path of it, it's like, it finds a way. Right?
Yeah.
It finds a way.
And you went over there to check it out and make sure the guys were doing a good job.
Yeah, because otherwise the last thing you want is you hire them and it's like, they say, yeah, good to go. And they just close it back up.
Yeah, you were great. It was a great company, and you were great. The company's Square One for anyone listening. They were great. And
they were really good. They were really good.
You were great to go over there. You met them. I never met them, but you were like managing the situation.
Well, what I liked, I'll tell you what I liked about them was they were very mindful that in remediation, they have to do some destruction.
Mm-hmm.
But as they were doing that, and because they had to track it down, they weren't just tearing it all apart.
Yeah.
Because they knew that would cost even more to restore.
Well, plus it would aerosolize.
And so they were doing it very calculated and really precise, and doing it in a way that wasn't just leaving, your house a train wreck. And it was kind of amazing watching how they did it.
Yeah, they were good. And it was eye-opening. Every week or every day during that week, I got a report. It was like, oh, it's this much further up. Oh, and I knew it. And I knew it's never going to be it's rarely, from what I understand, what they quote you. Like they're going to find more, So all that to say, mold is trying to compost you. So just be stronger than the mold. This is why we work out.
Is that right?
Yeah. This is why we work out. This is why we eat well. This is why we take care of ourselves, because we are living amongst it. There's no way to get away from it. So we might as well just make ourselves as, vital as we can, so that, because I wasn't not going to live in that house. I was going to live in that house. I was going to buy that house.
100%. But, but that was same. It goes back to you had the information. We had the test now. You saw the levels. You got expert opinion. Hey, not just your opinion. It certainly wasn't mine. I said, hey, this is you. You tell me. Expert opinion say, okay, hey, this is what you're looking at, right? And it was within, okay, we're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
This is manageable, right?
It was doable. Well, I love it. I love living here, and I'm so glad that you helped me get here. This would not have been nearly as much of a breeze. I mean, it was still hard and it was a lot of work, but man, it was 10 times easier because you helped me through the whole process. So
it was really fun.
Thank you. And I'm so glad you got to come on the show. I want everyone to find you. Where can they find you? What's your Instagram, your website?
Yep. So Instagram is my name, Taylor D. Mason. Website is, you can find me through Compass, or my personal website is tdmre.com. So TDM as my name, RE is realestate.com. Just as I was referred to you, and I take that very seriously, that no, we're going to honor that person who referred. In a lot of ways, you're giving me a voice, bringing me to your listeners, which is amazing. That anyone, it's like, no, they will get the full Tina treatment.
Yeah, let them know Dr. Tina sent you. If you guys are feeling like escaping from the West Coast, you know what to do, because this is a great place to live, and Taylor's you're a great tour guide too. So
thank you.
Thank you so much for helping me out and getting me in my dream home, and thanks for coming on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you, Tina.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to The Dr. Tina Show. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson. Theme song is by John the Guilt. You can watch the full video version of this podcast inside the Spotify app or on YouTube. As always, you can email the podcast at podcast@drtina.com. That's DRTYNA. And if you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. You can also find all of my offerings on my website at drtina.com. For more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com. See you next time, and thanks for listening. This podcast is for general informational purposes only. It does not constitute the practices of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor. No doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information and the materials linked to this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content on this podcast is intended not to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.